Once you understand them, you may never look at another stranger the same way again.
The rooms that receive sunlight are the qualities you proudly share with the world. Have you ever experienced something that logic simply couldn't explain? Imagine walking through a crowded street. Thousands of faces surround you. People are rushing to work, talking on their phones, laughing with friends, or simply passing by without noticing your existence. For a brief moment, everything feels ordinary. Then it happens. Your eyes meet the eyes of a complete stranger. It lasts only a second. No words are exchanged. No introductions are made. You continue walking as if nothing happened. Yet somehow, something feels different. Days pass, then weeks, perhaps even months. But that face refuses to disappear from your memory. You begin asking yourself questions that have no simple answers. Why this person? Why not the hundreds of others I passed that same day? What exactly captured my attention? Was it their expression?
Their energy? Their presence? Or was something much deeper taking place beneath the surface of my conscious mind? This experience is far more common than most people realize. Almost everyone has encountered someone they simply couldn't forget. Sometimes it happens after a brief conversation. Sometimes after a single glance. Sometimes without speaking a single word. Psychology has attempted to explain this phenomenon in many different ways. Some researchers believe it is connected to emotional memory. Others suggest it is the brain's pattern recognition system, searching for familiar faces and experiences. But Carl Gustav Jung proposed something far more mysterious. He believed that beneath our personal memories exists another layer of the human mind.
A place older than language itself. A place where every human being is connected through invisible psychological patterns. He called this the collective unconscious. Unlike our personal memories, this deeper level of the mind is not created by our individual experiences. It is inherited. According to Jung, every person carries ancient psychological blueprints passed down across countless generations. These blueprints influence the people we trust, the people we fear, the people we admire, and perhaps the people we can never forget. Imagine for a moment that your mind is not simply a collection of memories. Imagine that it is a vast library. Every experience you have ever lived is stored on its shelves. But hidden beneath that library lies another archive.
One that has existed long before you were born. Every story, every myth, every hero, every mother, every mentor, every rival, every lost love. These timeless human experiences leave invisible fingerprints inside the unconscious mind. When we unexpectedly meet someone who reflects one of these ancient patterns, something awakens. We may not understand it consciously, but the unconscious immediately recognizes something familiar. It whispers, "I know this," even if your conscious mind has never met that person before. This idea may sound mystical, yet modern neuroscience offers fascinating clues.
Our brains process emotional information far faster than rational thought. Long before we consciously evaluate another person, our subconscious has already analyzed thousands of tiny details. Their facial expressions, their body language, their voice, their posture, their movements, even subtle similarities to people from our past. Much of this happens within milliseconds, without our awareness. In other words, the feeling that someone is unforgettable may begin long before we realize we are paying attention. But Jung would argue that biology explains only part of the story.
The deeper explanation lies within symbolism. Every person we encounter becomes, in some way, a mirror.
Some mirrors reflect our strengths. Others reveal our fears. Some expose forgotten dreams. Others awaken hidden wounds we thought had healed long ago. That is why two people can meet the exact same individual, yet experience completely different emotional reactions, because they are not seeing the same person. They are seeing different reflections of themselves. Think back to someone you have never truly forgotten. Don't ask yourself who they were. Instead, ask yourself, who did they awaken inside you? Perhaps they reminded you of the confidence you always wished you possessed. Perhaps they reflected the kindness you desperately needed during a difficult chapter of your life. Or perhaps they awakened a version of yourself that you have ignored for years. Sometimes the people who leave the deepest impression are not meant to stay forever. Their purpose is not to become part of our future.
Their purpose is to reveal something hidden within us. Carl Jung once suggested that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives without us realizing it. Maybe the people we cannot forget are invitations. Invitations to discover forgotten parts of ourselves. Invitations to complete emotional stories left unfinished. Invitations to begin a journey that has nothing to do with another person, and everything to do with understanding who we truly are. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable person you ever meet is simply the beginning of meeting yourself. In the next chapter, we will descend even deeper into Jung's theory of the collective unconscious. We will explore the mysterious archetypes that silently shape every relationship, every attraction, and every unforgettable encounter throughout our lives. And
imagine walking into an ancient library. Its shelves stretch endlessly into the darkness. Every book contains the memories of humanity, not the history written in textbooks, but the emotional history of every generation that came before us. Every fear, every dream, every love story.
Every sacrifice, every hero, every betrayal. Carl Gustav Jung believed that somewhere within the human mind, a library much like this already exists. He called it the collective unconscious. Unlike your personal unconscious, which is built from your own experiences, the collective unconscious is something much older. You were born with it. It did not come from your childhood. It did not come from your parents. According to Jung, it belongs to humanity itself. Think about this for a moment. How can people from different countries, cultures, and religions create stories that contain the same kinds of heroes, wise old men, powerful mothers, mysterious strangers, and dangerous shadows?
How can civilizations separated by thousands of miles imagine almost identical myths? Jung believed the answer was simple. These stories are not copied. They emerge naturally from the same psychological patterns hidden inside every human being. He called these patterns archetypes. Archetypes are not personalities. They are not memories. They are invisible blueprints that shape the way we experience the world. You cannot see them directly, but you can recognize their influence everywhere. Think about every great story you have ever loved. The courageous hero who faces impossible odds. The wise mentor who appears at exactly the right moment. The mysterious stranger whose arrival changes everything. The loyal friend. Jung suggested that these reactions often reveal more about ourselves than about the other person.
Because archetypes do not simply shape how we see others, they shape what we project onto them. Projection is one of Jung's most fascinating ideas. Imagine standing in front of a movie screen. You believe you are watching another person's story, but in reality, part of the movie comes from your own unconscious. You unconsciously project hidden emotions, desires, fears, and expectations onto the people around you. Sometimes we fall deeply in love, not with who someone truly is, but with the version our unconscious has created. Sometimes we dislike someone instantly, not because of their actions, but because they remind us of a part of ourselves we have never accepted. This is why first impressions can feel incredibly powerful.
They are rarely based only on reality. They are influenced by years of invisible psychological programming. Modern psychology has discovered something remarkable. The human brain constantly fills in missing information. It predicts. It assumes. It completes unfinished patterns before conscious thought even begins. Your unconscious mind is always asking one question. Who does this person remind me of? Sometimes the answer comes from childhood. Sometimes from forgotten experiences. And according to Jung, sometimes from archetypes that have existed for thousands of years. This may explain why complete strangers can sometimes feel strangely familiar. Not because you have met them before, but because your unconscious has met their psychological pattern countless times throughout human history. Imagine meeting someone who reminds you of every mentor you have ever admired.
Or someone who unknowingly reflects every fear you have spent years avoiding. Wouldn't that explain why they remain unforgettable? Jung believed that life constantly introduces people who activate different archetypes within us. Some awaken courage, others awaken compassion. Some awaken creativity, others awaken pain that still needs healing. None of these encounters are random in terms of psychological growth. Each one becomes an opportunity to discover another hidden room inside your own mind. Perhaps that is why certain people appear at exactly the moment we need them. Not because fate has written every detail of our lives, but because our unconscious recognizes the lessons we are finally ready to learn. The greatest journey, Jung believed, is not finding the perfect person. It is discovering the hidden parts of yourself through every person you meet. And that journey becomes even more challenging when we encounter the most mysterious archetype of all, the shadow. It is the part of ourselves we deny, the emotions we suppress, the desires we hide, the fears we refuse to face. Yet paradoxically, it is often the shadow that determines which people leave the deepest mark on our hearts. In the next chapter, we will step into this hidden territory. We will explore why the people who disturb us the most and the people we admire the most may both be reflections of the same hidden self waiting to be understood.
There is a strange paradox hidden within every human relationship. The people who inspire us the most and the people who disturb us the most often have something unexpected in common. They both reveal parts of ourselves that we have never fully understood. Carl Jung believed that every human being carries an invisible companion throughout life, a companion that rarely speaks openly, a companion we spend years trying to ignore. He called it the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It is not a monster hiding inside the human mind. It is simply every part of yourself that you have learned to reject. Every emotion you were told not to express. Every dream you convinced yourself was impossible. Every weakness you tried to hide. Every strength
you were afraid to show. Imagine your personality as a house, your kindness, your intelligence, your confidence, your achievements. But somewhere behind a locked door, there is another room, a room you rarely enter. Inside are forgotten memories, hidden fears, unspoken anger, unfulfilled ambitions, jealousy, regret, untapped courage, even extraordinary talents that were never given the chance to grow. This room is your shadow. And according to Jung, the shadow never disappears. It simply waits. It waits for the right moment. Often, that moment arrives in the form of another person. Have you ever met someone who irritated you instantly? Someone whose confidence felt arrogant. Someone whose honesty felt uncomfortable. Someone whose success somehow made you feel uneasy. Perhaps nothing was actually wrong with them. Perhaps they simply reflected something within yourself that remained unresolved. Jung believed that whenever we react with unusually strong emotion, whether admiration or resentment, we should pause and ask a different question. What part of myself am I seeing in this person? Because intense emotional reactions are rarely caused by the present moment alone. They are echoes of something much older. Sometimes we criticize qualities that secretly exist within us. Sometimes we envy people who have developed abilities we abandoned long ago. Sometimes we dislike someone simply because they have the courage to live in ways we never allowed ourselves to live. The shadow works quietly. It influences our judgments, our relationships, our fears, even the goals we choose to pursue. Imagine meeting someone who speaks confidently in front of hundreds of people. You tell yourself, they're showing off. But beneath that criticism may lie a painful truth. Perhaps you once dreamed of speaking with confidence. Perhaps fear convinced you to stay silent. The shadow protects that forgotten dream by transforming admiration into criticism. This is projection. Instead of recognizing hidden emotions within ourselves, we unconsciously place them onto others. Projection happens every day. It shapes friendships, romantic relationships, family conflicts, workplace rivalries, even the celebrities we admire. When someone says, "I don't know why, but I can't stand that person," Jung might respond, "Look deeper." Not because the other person is perfect, but because your emotional reaction may reveal more about your inner world than about theirs. Modern psychology has discovered similar patterns. Our brains constantly simplify reality. We create stories about people long before we truly know them. A single expression, a familiar voice, a shared gesture. These tiny details awaken memories stored deep within emotional networks. Without realizing it, we begin interacting not only with the person standing before us, but also with everyone they unconsciously remind us of. This is why healing old emotional wounds changes the way we experience new relationships. The world itself has not changed. Our perception has. Jung believed that true psychological growth begins when we stop asking, "Why are people like this?" and begin asking, "What does my reaction reveal about me?" This question requires courage because it shifts responsibility inward. It asks us to examine the parts of ourselves we usually avoid, but it also opens the door to extraordinary freedom. Imagine no longer being controlled by unconscious fears. Imagine recognizing jealousy before it becomes resentment. Imagine transforming insecurity into curiosity. Imagine seeing every difficult relationship as an opportunity to understand yourself more deeply. This is the beginning of what Jung called individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole, not by eliminating the shadow, but by accepting it, understanding it, learning from it. The goal is not perfection. The goal is integration. Because every quality you reject continues to influence your life from the darkness. But every quality you acknowledge becomes a source of wisdom. Perhaps the people who hurt you, the people who inspired you, the people you could never forget, were never simply characters in your story. Perhaps they were teachers, not because they intended to teach you, but because they unknowingly revealed pieces of yourself that had been waiting patiently to be discovered. Every unforgettable encounter becomes a mirror. Some mirrors reflect your greatest strengths. Others reveal your deepest fears. But all of them offer the same invitation: to know yourself more honestly than ever before. And once you begin recognizing these mirrors, a profound question naturally emerges. If every meaningful encounter teaches us something about ourselves, can we consciously shape the kind of person we are becoming? That question leads us to the final stage of Jung's psychological journey, the path toward integration, transformation, and becoming the most authentic version of ourselves.
By now, one thing has become clear. The people who enter our lives are rarely just random characters passing through our story. Some remain for years. Others disappear after a single conversation. Yet both can change us forever. But what if the true purpose of these encounters was never about the other person? What if every unforgettable face, every unexpected meeting, every powerful emotional connection was quietly guiding you towards someone else, toward yourself? Carl Jung believed that the greatest challenge of life is not finding happiness, success, or even love. It is becoming whole. He called this lifelong process individuation. Individuation is the gradual journey of discovering who you truly are beneath the expectations of society, family, and even your own fears. Most people spend their lives wearing masks. We learn from an early age which emotions are acceptable, which dreams are realistic, which parts of our personality deserve praise, and which parts should remain hidden. Little by little, we begin shaping ourselves to fit the world around us. Without realizing it, we slowly drift away from our authentic nature. We become successful, but empty. Connected, yet lonely. Surrounded by people, yet disconnected from ourselves. Jung believed that this inner conflict explains much of the anxiety and dissatisfaction that modern people experience. Not because something is missing outside of us, but because something important has been abandoned within us. Every unforgettable person becomes a messenger. Some remind us of the courage we once possessed. Others remind us of the dreams we quietly gave up. Some expose our deepest insecurities. Others awaken strengths we never knew existed. Life has an unusual way of introducing exactly the lessons we are prepared to receive. Sometimes those lessons arrive through love, sometimes through heartbreak, sometimes through failure, sometimes through loss. Every encounter leaves behind a question. Will you simply remember this experience, or will you allow it to transform you? Modern neuroscience offers an interesting perspective. The human brain is constantly changing. Every meaningful experience creates new neural pathways. Every emotional challenge reshapes the way we think. every conscious decision strengthens new patterns while weakening old ones. This remarkable ability is known as neuroplasticity. In other words,
Who you are today is not fixed. You are continually rewriting your own mind. Jung understood this long before neuroscience could observe it. He believed that awareness changes everything. The moment you recognize an unconscious pattern, it begins to lose its control over your life. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack your entire life without realizing it. One day, someone points it out. The weight has not disappeared, but now you understand why walking has always been so difficult. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. This is why self-reflection is one of the most powerful habits you can develop. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" try asking, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" Instead of asking, "Why can't I forget this person?" ask, "What part of myself becomes visible whenever I think about them?" These questions shift your attention from blame to understanding, from reaction to awareness, from confusion to growth. Jung often reminded us that we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light. We become enlightened by making the darkness conscious. That darkness is not something to fear. It is simply the unexplored territory of your own mind. The more honestly you face it, the less power it has over you. Perhaps the people who challenged you the most were preparing you for the person you were destined to become. Perhaps the relationships that ended created space for a deeper relationship with yourself. Perhaps every disappointment, every coincidence, every unforgettable stranger was quietly leading you toward greater self-awareness. Life rarely speaks in words. It speaks through experiences, through emotions, through symbols, through people. And those who learn to understand this silent language begin to see the world differently. They stop asking why life is happening to them. They begin asking how life is shaping them. So the next time someone unexpectedly occupies your thoughts, do not rush to dismiss it as coincidence. Pause for a moment. Observe your emotions without judgment. Ask yourself what this encounter reveals about your fears, your hopes, your unfinished stories, and your hidden potential. You may discover that the person you could never forget was never meant to become your future. They were meant to become your teacher. The greatest journey is not across continents. Life rarely speaks in words. It speaks through experiences, through emotions, through symbols, through people. And those who learn to understand this silent language begin to see the world differently. They stop asking why life is happening to them. They begin asking how life is shaping them. So the next time someone unexpectedly occupies your thoughts, do not rush to dismiss it as coincidence. Pause for a moment. Observe your emotions without judgment. Ask yourself what this encounter reveals about your fears, your hopes, your unfinished stories, and your hidden potential. You may discover that the person you could never forget was never meant to become your future. They were meant to become your teacher.
The greatest journey is not across continents. It is not toward wealth or recognition. The greatest journey is the one that leads inward, to the forgotten rooms of your own mind, to the hidden strengths waiting beneath your fears, to the version of yourself that has been patiently waiting to be discovered. Perhaps that journey begins today. Perhaps it began the moment you clicked on this video. If this conversation has changed the way you see yourself,
then it has already achieved its purpose. Because understanding the human mind is not about collecting knowledge. It is about transforming the way you live. Thank you for joining this journey into the world of Carl Jung, the unconscious mind,